Hello. So today we are starting the potting shed. I've got a few bits of here I'm working with for making a frame. I'm using 2x2s here for making a frame, and this is going to be the first of a short series where we're putting it together. Mostly going to be building with pallet wood. You can see I've got stacks of it building up down here at the back. So I've got the frame laid out how I want to do it now. This is the back wall I'm making, and it's going to be 2.1 meters wide, and actually I've cut all of these to 2.1 meters, so it's going to be just over 2.1 tall because the outer bits for the top and the bottom. I've made a little tool here just to help to square it all up when I'm actually fixing this in place. So this, all I'm going to do is I lift that one up there, get my drink out of the way because it's a very, very hot day out here, get these into place, and then once I've got these here, I can use the clamps to clamp these pieces in place, and I'll know that I've got it exactly square on this little jig there. So all I've done to make that is just a little bit of plywood and just a couple of bits of batten there, and I've left this open so that I can use it for both the corners, and in the middle it will actually pass through, so I can use it for all of the middle ones as well to make sure everything is square. Because as you can see, I haven't got a nice square floor big enough to work on this, so I'm balancing this across multiple tables here, so this will make it a lot easier to put this together and keep everything square when I'm doing it. So all I'm going to do this is I'm just going to drill through, put some big screws through to hold this in place. So I'll assemble this and then we'll come back and have a look at putting some of the planks on. Put together the four corners now, so I've got a square, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the middle legs in. Now when I made this tool here, I left this corner off deliberately. I could have put these to come into a square, but by having left these off, I can slide that into the middle of this, and I can still square it on the middle section there by having that corner cut off here. So what I've done is it's 2.1 meters across, so I've just put a marker on at 70 centimeters and 1.4 meters there, just to get the centers, and I'm going to center it so that these actually come right in the middle of the marker is actually in the middle of the wood here. So let's get that all nice and square, tight against the jig. And that's another one there. Just going to put in the other three, and then I've got the frame put together. We can start putting some of the slats on to make in checking it all to square. got some of the slats now. This is what I've broken off the pallets, so this is all pallet wood. Now a lot of these came in at about 1 metre wide and I needed 70 centimetres, and there's a lot of breakages. When you're splitting pallets, you'll find when you're pulling the nails out, you'll often end up with some broken ends where the nails were. So all I did was, out of the sections that are about 1 metre long, I just picked a section that seemed like the best quality wood, had the least knots or problems in it, and just cut that section out. And what I'm going to do is, here, I'm going to get that halfway between each side. Now I'm going to start building this up whilst it's here, because once I put the frame into place, I've actually got a wall against the back half that goes up about 1 metre high, and I can't, once I put the frame down, I won't be able to get in to put the slats on. So I'm going to put about the first metre's worth of slats, just enough to clear the wall, and then I'm going to move it down because I don't want it to be too heavy to move and get into place. But the rest of the slats I can put on once I've got the frame up and assembled into the right place. I'm just going to get these first few. So let's get that nice and square. I want to get it into the middle as close as I can on each side. I've got the nail gun here, and let's just get some nails in and get this fixed into place. I need to put a little bit of extra power into the nail gun just to make sure those go in. I can just drive those extra ones by hand. That's better. To the next slat, and just keep working my way up, keep them as nice and tight and close as I can, but also staying nice and close into the centre. Turn the power up on the gun a little bit there. I just want to make sure the nails are going completely flush in as best I can. With these, I'm looking to probably sand these. Now unfortunately the sander I've ordered but hasn't turned up in time. I'll need to get this done because we're running out of summer here, so once this is all done I'll go over this lightly with the sander just to smooth it down a little bit. But this is all going to be exterior, and it's also going to be protected around the back of the wall, so I'm not too worried too much about the wood here. But I'll keep going, get these up to about 1 metre high on all 3 of these, and once that's done we'll have a look about moving into place and having a look at some of the other sides. Nails. This is the first frame there, which is leaning up into roughly the place where it's going to be once it's all done. There's actually the glazing. I've been and picked up the plastic glazing, which is now leaned up just at the bottom of it there. I've got the pieces here to make the initial frame for the front of the potting shed. What I wanted to do is I wanted to have a 40 centimetre drop on the front half of the roof. So what I've done is I've cut the long pieces here, 2.1 metres, exactly the same as on that one, so the width will be right. And I measured that one, it worked out as 219 centimetres high. So I want the front half to come in at 179 centimetres. That gives me my 40 centimetre drop. So what I did was I checked the measurements on these, and two of these together add up to 9 centimetres. So these side pieces I've cut at 170 centimetres, so that gives me a total of 179 once I put the pieces on the outside. Just clamp these ones in place, and I'm going to make a square, and once I've done that I'm going to get the glazing. I'll get the exact measurements of that. I'm going to make pieces on the inside to support the glazing and allow me to frame it up. So I'll come back once I've got these all fixed in place, and we'll get the plastic up here and see if we can get it in place. Starting making a framing piece here to hold the window. I've realised that once I've actually screwed, now that I've screwed this outside piece here together, I won't be able to get in to put all the screws in for the window. Now the window I've checked it, and it is 60 centimetres high and it's 181 centimetres wide. So what I've done is I've cut these side pieces here. I've fixed that first one in place now, so those are exactly 60, or I've added about 2mm on there just to make sure it fits in there snugly, and I'm going to have some battering to hold it all in place. And I'm just about to fix this one here, and I've checked here, and from the inside of this one to the inside of this one, once I fix it in, will be again exactly 181 centimetres. I'm going to add about 2mm on the end just to make sure it will comfortably go in there. I don't want it bowed out if I've got it too tight in any way, or especially if the wood expands or anything like that. So just going to get these fixed in, and once I've got this in, then I'm going to fix it into the frame piece here. So I'll come back and show you that. Made the frame now for the window. I'm stood inside. This is the area where I'm stood is going to be where the window itself will be. You can see I've put two pieces in. These all now go inside. I'm going to screw in from here, and I've screwed in these two pieces here and here. So this will now fit exactly. So that is, let's say, 181 centimetres plus I've added 2mm just so I can put some battering in there, and again here 60 centimetres plus my 2mm just to give me some space. So once this is all screwed and fixed in place, I'm going to run around the inside of it with some thin battering, and then I can place the window on top, and then there'll be another layer of batten that will sandwich on the top, and it'll trap the window between. And I'll also make just two pieces to come top to bottom. It's one single piece of plastic, but I just want to do it so it reinforces so the window can't bend in the wind. So I'll put a couple of bits of batten just coming top to bottom as well, which I'll screw through the plastic just to strengthen it so that it can't flex so much. It's quite flexible plastic when I'm using. So we'll get this all screwed in place, and then I'm going to need to put some supports in that I'll be using as I have down on the bottom so that I can attach the wood. There we are. That is a couple of pieces locked into the middle here. So I've now got these again. I've set these so that they're 70 centimetres to the centre of these, so that I can put my slats that I've pre-cut, 70 centimetre slats onto these. Got the window there, and I'm going to continue these little pieces just up here so that I can finish the top there, which is going to be wood. There'll be window, wood, and wood down here, and that will be the front piece frame finished. So I'm going to get those little bits in, and then we'll get it, get some of the slats on here and get it moved down into place. Put the frame in place here. Made this one here that you saw with the window, and I've boarded it up just to clear this wall. And this is the back one here, which again I've boarded up to clear this wall here, just because I wouldn't have been able to get in to nail the planks in place. But I didn't want it to be too heavy when I was moving it, so I've only done it just enough to cover these areas. All I've done is I've lifted it down here, and I've just put in two little cross beams. I've just screwed one ends on here and on here. I discovered that actually this concrete pad isn't particularly level, so I've put an extra piece here just to try and level it up. So there's a double piece here just to hold that in place. I'm now just going through putting one in here. Because of the walls, there's no way for me to get in, so I'm going to drill in diagonally. I'll just go through and do this one. Just to fix this in place. Better if you've got a pocket hole jig to get these started, but unfortunately I don't. There we are, that's fixed in place, so that holds that there. Now I've been given an old door because I'm trying to recycle as much as I can during this project, so looking at this I'm going to have the door. It cannot come any higher than this, but that's plenty high, but I think I'm going to have to cut the door down to fit because I think it was a bit of a taller door that I was given. And thank you as well for the donation of the door as well. Very much appreciated there, Anita. Thank you. So this is all starting to come together now. You can see how the shed is going to be. It's going to be on this nice concrete pad. I've decided not to put a floor in just because it will help with drainage in here, and it's not going to make any difference. It's so well protected between all of the walls here that it should all be good. Right, next piece. I'm going to go and get the door. I need to measure that up and get that to the right dimensions, and I'm going to put another piece coming across this because this is the maximum height I can have it anyway, because the sloping roof will run across the top of this. So I'm going to put one piece in between here, and then I'm going to measure up the door, get it cut down. I suspect I'm going to have to fill in a section here, so I'll put a vertical beam in here once I've got the door measured up, just so it fixes all nicely in place. So once I've got the door, I'll come back. I had a look at the door that I've been given here, and there's a lot of good wood on it. I found the bottom panel here was completely rotted out, and this side here was rotted out, and actually there's a cross piece here that there was only one nail holding it, so I've just taken that off for the minute, but it's actually good wood and I'm going to reattach that. Now luckily the door here is 1.9 metres tall, the one I've been given, but the maximum height I can have on the shed there is 1.73 metres. So all I'm going to do is the bad wood that I've got down here where it's starting to rot, I'm going to run the circular saw off across and cut this bottom section off. Once I've done that, I don't need the extra width on the door. This is actually the perfect width for the potting shed that we need. So I'm going to build up some new wood coming up here and across the bottom to reinforce the door, and similarly on this side here, and then this will be one good door for the potting shed. So I'm going to get this all trimmed down, we'll get it into there, and I'll get some more framing in and we'll show you once that's all done. We're doing a lot more work on the door here. So this was the bottom section, which was the section that was really rotted, so cut that section away there, so the door is now the right length for the shed. And I've just chiselled away a little section here because it's actually going to sit flush on a beam at the bottom, so that means it will sit flush there. So I've just chiselled that little section out. Put some more reinforcement strips along here and across the top just to hold all of the wood. These were all good, but it's just a lot of the nails were quite badly rusted, so some extra reinforcement here. I'm going to replace the cross pieces as well, just to give it a little bit of protection so it can't twist in any way there. And now the last bit I'm going to need to do is just this very edge where it was all a little bit sort of rotten there. I'm just going to go through with the circular saw and just chop it down flush with this here. That should be finished apart from the cross pieces. So let's get this cut. I've got the bed set for a shallow cut because I was doing some work earlier. There we are. It should go all the way through now. And to the other side. Not quite gone through. Let's try that again. didn't quite connect at the top and the bottom there, so I'm going to flip him over and just do that on there. But that whole section you can see has now come away there, so that will get me to the right width of door. So I'll get that done and then we can start framing up the last piece of the shed.